Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another edition of Paradigm Shift in Educational Comedy. I'm going to be enabling screen share. Give me one moment. Alrighty, cool. On DeviantArt, there was a comment thread that I made a reply on, and I felt that the reply in and of itself made for a really good journal entry. The question of how is morality defined? And I've been really tempted for a while to turn this into a video, so here we are. I'm turning it into a video. And I have enlarged the font size in my browser so that, excuse me, so that for those of you who want to read along, that you don't have to struggle to look at the text, especially if you're watching this video in full screen mode. So, clearing my throat, and here we go. Perhaps the act of trying to define morality in and of itself is one of the biggest issues that causes immorality. So I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Maybe instead of trying to define anything or figure out anything, perhaps instead we should do something that we really never do: learn from the mistakes of history. Einstein's definition of insanity is to continue to do the exact same thing over and over, always expecting different results. Maybe instead of always trying to punish people for everything and always trying to force people to think one way or another, maybe we should observe the problems within society and look objectively at its causes. Immorality causes nothing. It's a symptom, not a disease itself. Everything we deem immoral is based in fight or flight survival. The brain does not know the difference between feeling emotionally threatened, psychologically threatened, and physically threatened. To the core of the brain, it's all the same thing. So the biological reaction of fight or flight kicks in. It takes most of the blood away from the visceral systems and moves it to the muscle systems. If you're trying to run from the attacking lion or fight the attacking lion, the body does not prioritize things like immune system or higher thinking or critical thinking. This is why learning to remain calm under pressure will usually get excuse me. This is why learning to remain calm under pressure will usually get you out of trouble rather than into it. We're born knowing the golden rule, even if it's at a subconscious, unconscious, instinctual level. Do no harm, but take no shit. That is why this rule is always at the core of every society, no matter where on earth or when in time, even if those cultures never encountered one another. On an instinctual level, we know that if we go about our own business and don't fuck with things that we should not be fucking with, then things have a higher probability of not fucking with us. Not being fucked with is a part of the survival instinct. Don't look for trouble, but when it comes, fight or flight activates. The only thing that can override fight or flight is the frontal lobe. When we get burned by fire, we learn not to fuck with it. When we get stung by a bee, we learn not to fuck with bees, etc. Basic survival. When we use our frontal lobe, we learn to use fire as a tool safely. When we learn how to deal with bees safely, or I'm going to reread that part. Yeah, my brain like farted there. When we use our frontal lobe, lobe. Yeah, like I can freaking talk today. When we use our frontal lobe, gosh darn it, that awesome frontal lobe. Yeah, it's the shit, man. Gotta love that frontal lobe. We learn to use fire as a tool safely. We learn how to deal with bees safely so we can have honey as a food product, and food is an aspect of survival. Using fire as a tool is also an aspect of survival. Yeah, finally spit it out. Go frontal lobe. You rock. When we choose to get along with each other and not allow petty differences drive us into flipping our shit and make us go nuts, this is logically beneficial. The more humans which can cooperate for mutual gains, the more each individual benefits. Building houses, roads, machines, etc., are some of the many examples in which human cooperation leads to mutual benefit. But when a society does not have a good support system for helping each other compassionately and empathetically deal with emotional and psychological trauma, we as humans, because the brain functions by way of associative memory, learn to be scared of everything, and thus fight or flight takes over the formations of our beliefs about reality and how we perceive our surroundings. Everything from greed to murder is based in fight or flight reaction. The more belief systems and reality perceptions we have, which hardwire neural networks in the brain to lean more towards fight or flight, the more irrational we become. The irony is, an irrational person thinks they are rational and that everyone else is dangerous. This is what fight or flight does. When a group of people who have passed down generations of emotional and psychological trauma and abuse decide to go genocide a population, it is not out of hate, it is out of fear. They truly believe that the people they are committing genocide against are subhuman and evil, and so they have no more regret about it than we would have about killing roaches. Also, the more trauma a person goes through, not only do they not value others very much, but they equally devalue themselves and don't think much of themselves. This is how the R complex of the brain takes control and represses the cerebral cortex and the frontal lobe. This is also why most psychopaths are not very creative. They can put on the illusion of creativity by observing a creative person and mimicking them, but they have no creativity of their own. Yeah, kind of need that frontal lobe and cerebral cortex working together for creativity. Otherwise, that's kind of screwed. This is also why a superiority complex is always a psychological overcompensation to attempt to make up for an inferiority complex. Even if the person with the superiority complex is not aware of this fact, it's still a fact. All humans are diverse in their thinking capabilities, etc. But no human is absolutely superior to nor inferior to any other, because humans do have an advanced frontal lobe and cerebral cortex. This allows for what animals cannot have: free will choice. So humans are able to operate under the mechanism of consequences for actions. Of course, even animals have consequences for actions, but humans are capable of understanding what the term consequence means. Animals cannot. Human society has existed in a state of collective Stockholm syndrome for thousands of years, and the reasons why are perfectly understandable. Between wars, disease, and natural disasters, we've become a very fight or flight oriented race, dumbing ourselves down, and ironically doing so of our own free will choice, to operating not much higher than animals. Excuse me. Even though it's 1:11 p.m. right now in Pacific time, that would be 11:11. Haha. Oh, and as I said that, the seconds mark went 11:11. That's funny. Um, I'm still tired either way. It's just been a tiring week. Anyway, moving on. Most humans, however, seem to have one redeeming quality: the saving grace that will one day save us all. The ability to put differences aside and come together during times of struggle and disaster as long as the tragedy is unprecedented. This is why you'll see humans singing Kumbaya around the campfire in the aftermath of a hurricane and all helping each other and loving each other. But as soon as the dust settles and they can go back to living life as usual, they revert straight back to being dicks to each other again. Things have to get as bad as they can get, coming just short of destroying our race completely, before fight or flight and logic will be in agreement with each other. When logic says we need to change our ways in order to survive, and fight or flight nods in agreement, then a much better world will emerge from the chaos. Though it is unfortunate that we have to endure this collectively in order to make that sort of quantum leap, it's really not so surprising. In the same way little children learn, or it's the same way little children learn. Yeah, it's exactly the same way. You can tell them all about why they shouldn't touch fire or anything else to try to help and protect them, but ultimately they will not listen to you until they get burned. Collectively, humanity is exactly the same way. We are an infant race. Though this can be debated, as far as we know, we've been here less than 1 million years, and this planet is billions of years old. On the scale of cosmic time, humanity on Earth is brand new, like a baby. In our lifetime, humanity will figure out that the same attitude we have in the aftermath of a hurricane is an efficient and productive attitude to have all of the time. The reason we will learn this in our lifetime is because in the age of information, ignorance is a choice. It is finally possible for the ignorant to suffer massive, swift consequences. No more needing to wait thousands of years to finally understand the consequences. Those who decide to conduct themselves under the before mentioned golden rule will survive in this world much easier, as they will be more calm under pressure, and their cerebral capability for learning lessons will continue to advance. Those who choose to remain in ignorance will potentially suffer the same fate as the dinosaurs. Overall, humanity will survive as a whole, but on the individual level, there will be a lot, yeah, there will be many of Darwin Awards won. I guess I could say it either way. There will be a lot of Darwin Awards won. There will be many Darwin Awards run. Same shit, synonyms. So anyway, that's my perspective. Anyone can take it or leave it as they wish, and that's fine. This is definitely one of those subjects in which there is massive amounts of debate, but I personally feel that my thoughts on this are logical. I think we need to pull ourselves out of collective Stockholm syndrome and stop being poster children for Einstein's definition of insanity. So, hope you found that useful. Catch y'all later. Have a good day, night, evening, whatever it is in your part of the planet.